that we need to get back to what worked when my husband was president, and we created 23 million new jobs. But more than that, and I especially want the young people to know this, everybody's income went up. Not just people at the top, middle-class families, working families. More people were lifted out of poverty than at any time in recent history. Now, what does that tell us? It tells us we can do this. It tells us it wasn't that long ago. During Bill's terms, the median family income in America went up 17%. And the median African-American family income went up 33%. We had jobs with rising incomes. So how are we going to do it again? Well, we're going to partner with state and local governments and with business to have more infrastructure jobs. Our roads, our bridges, our tunnels, our ports, our airports, they all need new modernization, construction, and maintenance. You know, those are jobs that can't be exported. They have to be done right here in our country. And there's also work to be done that you can't see. You've heard of Flint, Michigan, and what happened there, right? It is absolutely outrageous that a city of 100,000, mostly poor, mostly African American, would have been drinking contaminated water for nearly 2 years. We're talking about babies drinking it, children bathing in it, and those water pipes, they need to be replaced. That's work to be done. So we've got to come together and really build and rebuild our economic infrastructure. Then we also have to attract and keep manufacturing jobs. I'm one of those people who believes that we can actually build things, make things in America again. And we got to change the tax code, so instead of getting benefits for moving jobs overseas, you get benefits for creating those jobs right here at home. And we can combat climate change. Now, I got to tell you, you've probably heard the Republican candidates be asked about it. And you know what they always say? They always say, well, I'm not a scientist. Well, I'll tell you what, there's an easy answer to that. Why don't you talk to a scientist? You could come to UAPB and talk to scientists right here, and they would explain climate change. I have concluded that the Republican candidates for president don't really believe what they're saying. They are saying what they're told to say by the Koch brothers. So instead of embracing the opportunities for clean, renewable energy, they are walking away. What a loss. You know, some nation is going to be the 21st century clean energy superpower. I think it's either going to be Germany, China, or us. I intend for it to be us. For us to put people to work. By the end of my first term, I would like to see us deploy 500 million more solar panels. By the end of my second term, enough clean energy to power every home in America. Think of the jobs, the people that will be employed to do that work, and so much else. So when people say, well, you know, we can't really do anything to create jobs, that's just not true. If we put our minds to it, we can do a lot. We can incentivize the private sector, and I particularly want to invest in communities that have been left out and left behind. I want to get back to investing in places that need extra help. I want to take 2 programs that Bill started, empowerment zones and the new market tax credit. I was in Sumter, South Carolina about 5-6 days ago. They used a program, the new market tax credits that Bill started when he was president, to attract a big factory, and they're now employing about 1,000 people. And they expect to grow even more. That's what we need all over America. In Pine Bluff, in East Arkansas, in South. Do this if we have the right attitude about it. I also believe we need to invest more in small business. Small businesses create most of the new jobs in America. And we need to really open up lines of credit. And it's particularly important for young people. A lot of young people tell me they want to start a small business. I want you to be able to start a small business. So I'm going to work to make sure you at least get the chance to do that. And it's especially important, too, for minority and women-owned small businesses. We need more, and we need to make sure they can start and grow. And then, what about raising the minimum wage, which Arkansas voted to do, which I really appreciated? I think we need to raise the federal minimum wage because if you work full-time in America, you should not end up at the end of the year still in poverty. You should have a chance to lift yourself and your family up on that ladder of opportunity. So I'm going to push hard to raise the federal minimum wage. I'm also going to do everything I can to make sure women finally get equal pay for the work we do in the workplace. Now, everything I've just said, the Republican candidates disagree with. We're going to have a good debate. I don't know who they're going to end up nominating, and I sure hope to get the nomination for the Democratic Party because I want to debate. Because here's what they're saying. They're selling the same snake oil. Trickle-down economics. We have tried that. It didn't work out really well. Remember I was just saying what the economy was like when Bill left office? Well, in came a Republican president, cut taxes on the wealthy, don't regulate, keep your eyes off of Wall Street, off the mortgage markets, and we know what happened, don't we? The worst financial crisis since the Great Depression. So after the 2008 election, after we elected another young Democratic president, Barack Obama, then President-elect Obama called, asked me to come to Chicago. I didn't know why. It turned out he wanted me to be Secretary of State, but when I got there, what was on his mind was the horrible economic conditions he had just inherited. We were losing 800,000 jobs a month. 9 million Americans lost their jobs. 5 million homes were lost. $13 trillion in family wealth wiped out. Pretty bad. A lot of people were really hurt. Some folks haven't recovered yet. And that's what President-elect Obama was walking into. He had nothing to do with creating it, but he all of a sudden had the responsibility for dealing with it. And I don't think he gets the credit he deserves for making sure we did not fall into a Great Depression. Now, that statement is controversial in some circles, but I just want you to know the facts. Because the facts are that he had to deal with what he inherited, and the Republicans want us to go back to where we were and what caused the problem in the first place. They actually say things like, you know, the problem with the Great Recession wasn't that Wall Street was regulated too lightly, it was that Wall Street was regulated too much. I mean, they live in an alternative universe when it comes to looking at the facts. And then they say, well, this was a